All right, welcome back to the Welcome Home Lake Norman podcast. It is me, Ryan Weber, with Ben Thomas and Tiffany Weber of the newly formed Thomas & Weber Law at the Lake Law Firm.
Hey, there you go, baby.
It looks good. I mean, we've already officially broken our previous Facebook page record, so I'm pretty proud of that. So somehow people like
that is your job, isn't it?
But
you're a marketing guy.
It took me 2 years to get to where we were, and it took 5 days to beat that.
Hey, look, you've done a great job for us. There's no question about it. But I see what you're doing out there for other folks.
What happened is they saw Tiffany's face and said, oh, I'm going to like that one. They were sick of seeing the old white guys.
Oh, I know that. I'm tired of seeing the old bald-headed white boy.
The cameras have to be rolling for Ryan to compliment me, so keep going.
Yeah, we'll keep him on for this. So what we're going to talk about today is eminent domain. One, we're excited. And two, we need to know what the heck's going on because we've always had this road problem here in Mooresville, and so the roads are getting widened. We talked to Miles Atkins almost a year ago now.
The mayor, yeah.
And he said there's like $600 million of funding going into the Mooresville Lake Norman Road area. However, that kind of brings on a new issue that our real estate friends, we talk to them a lot, and they're having these issues or their clients are asking them questions because they're getting these packets in the mail talking about eminent domain. So
yeah, and stakes in the yard like we just had at our office, right?
Right.
The guys are out there laying out what they're going to take from us.
So I guess the easiest way to start this thing, lawyers, what is eminent domain? What's happening?
Well, I mean, we want the roads widened, but land doesn't grow on trees. We're not just going to be able to make up some new land and put it right in the middle of the road, so it has to come from the adjacent properties. And the government has the right through this thing called eminent domain or condemnation, if you want to call it that.
And that's the same thing. I learned that today.
Today, Ryan learned that they are the same thing. And you're not the only one, because a lot of people, they hear condemnation and they think of the house that's falling down being condemned. But no, it's the government's right to be able to take property that belongs to private people or companies and use it for the public to make the roads wider.
How is that a thing? How are they allowed to just take it?
Then you want to talk
well,
about
I mean,
the
they have a right as a government under the Constitution.
Is that what it is? It's the Constitution?
Yes. But the good news is the Fifth Amendment also provides landowners the opportunity to make sure they get fair value when the government takes their property.
And that's where attorneys come into play of like, why do attorneys reach out for eminent domain?
Right.
So I guess probably the next question our real estate friends are getting is, well, I got this packet in the mail. I got offered maybe a sum of money already. Well, what should I do? And what do you guys say when someone comes to you and says, well, what do I do?
Well, first of all, that's their initial offer. And let's be real. I mean, this is, and I think realtors, everybody understands this, right? When you go to buy a property and you're advising your client to make an offer, are you going to make your highest and best offer right then?
Of course not.
Of course not. The government's no different. They do this all over the state, all over the country, obviously. But in North Carolina, they're very good at what they do. They know how to go in, make offers.
And it looks reasonable. I mean, if you're a landowner sitting there and maybe they're taking a sliver of your land that you don't use, but it's still a piece of your land and you get a check for $15,000 in the mail. I mean, that looks awesome.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people go, wow, man, let's go shopping.
Right.
That's fantastic. But the truth of the matter is that you can probably do a lot better. Yeah. I mean, I just had one the other day that was, I think they'd offered him, $14,000, and we ended up settling it for about $27,000.
I mean, that's almost double.
Yeah.
And it's case by case. Like, that's not average results.
No,
I mean,
it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes everyone is unique.
And sometimes it's a great offer initially.
Yeah.
We don't know until we look into it. And that's why you have the Ben Thomas crew of misfits that you know around Lake Norman.
Well, we're local. You know, a lot of the attorneys that do this are from different areas, and they travel around the state. And that's how they make their living, of course. We like the fact that we're local, and we use local professionals that are experts in the area. For example, people who understand the true value of properties.
In the Lake Norman market.
In the Lake Norman market. Local folks who understand our zoning concepts. And what we've got that's unique here versus other areas is the watershed rules and how that affects people's property and what they can actually do with their property after the government takes a portion of it.
Right.
So, I mean, I think the objective here is to be fair. And all we want to do is encourage people to do what they need to do to get the fair value for their property that's taken, but make sure they're also getting fair compensation for what they're left with.
Right.
That's a big deal.
And Tiff, you were telling me that the way you guys are operating this thing, like it doesn't actually cost anybody to check this out. You guys don't make any money off of this unless you make them more money, right?
That's right. Yeah. So a landowner is always going to get at least what the government initially offered, even if they proceed with an attorney.
So they could say, you know what, I don't like that offer, but they're going to get that no matter what at a minimum.
Right. And knowing that that offer is usually not what the land is worth, you can proceed on with the process, hopefully get more. You get what you were initially offered plus what was extra, and the attorney's fee only comes out of what was extra.
Yeah. So for an example, in Ben's situation, they made an extra $13,000. Well, Ben didn't take anything from that $14,000 that was initially offered. He only got paid a percentage, and all attorneys are going to have a different percentage based on what needs to go into it. He only got a percentage of that $13,000.
Right, yeah.
So they got 100% of what they were offered. They got extra money by working with Ben for free, and Ben took a small percentage of what they made extra. So it was just free money that they made.
Yeah. But, I mean, we had to get somebody to review that appraisal that,
Right.
that the government had done to see what was inaccurate with it.
And that's all that cost you pay, and that's why you have your percentage, because you take
Correct.
care of all of that, right?
Right. We pay for those experts
Right.
out of the percentage that we get over and above.
Right.
what
So
they've been offered.
as a landowner, it's almost a no-brainer to at least just talk to somebody and say, hey, is this a good offer?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Why would you not do that, especially since it doesn't cost you any money?
And,
do that.
when they come to you, you're going to just look at it and say, well, we think we could get you a little bit more. Is it worth it, our time to say, we're only going to get $1,000 and it's going to take 30 hours? Well, that's not worth it for us to go into it. We think it's a good offer to take.
Yeah. Of course, the attorney's always going to get paid more if they get more. But the real objective is to do what's right by the client. You don't want to drag something out when it's not beneficial to the client.
Exactly.
But if it's if you need to do that to fight for the client, then you got to do it.
Yeah,
because everyone's different.
And these might go to trial, right?
Sure, of course.
So could someone theoretically, if maybe they think that they're also an attorney, we have a lot of people out there that, hey, I'm a smart guy. Maybe I want to go fight the government myself. Are you allowed to?
Of course you can.
Why, why wouldn't you?
Well, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And you really need the counsel of a lawyer to help you through that process.
Yeah.
Because eventually what's going to happen is they're going to offer you the amount of money, like Tiffany was saying. You're going to get that amount. And what the government does is they're going to, if you say no, which you absolutely have every right to say no to that amount, then they're going to file a legal action, a lawsuit. And they're going to take that money that they offered you and they're going to put it with the clerk of court in the county where the property is located.
So basically, like, the court is holding the money that's going to be
Their offer. Yeah.
it's going to cost to do all this road maintenance.
Well, what it's going to cost to buy, what they're offered to buy your property for. They're going to take that amount, put it under your name, under the lawsuit they filed against you for condemnation of your property, and they're going to put that with the clerk. Now, the interesting thing is that you actually can get that money and still continue to negotiate and do some battle with them.
But you have to know how.
But you got to know how. And you have to answer that lawsuit. And you really need a lawyer to help you with that. I mean, you can do it on your own, but it's
not like small claims.
it's not like small.
Isn't there a quote out there like the worst?
He who represents himself has a fool for a client.
There you go. Yeah, I like that one.
And that goes true for lawyers too.
Exactly.
Lawyers should not represent themselves.
Right.
They need other lawyers to help
Well, and
them.
that's the thing is when you're representing yourself in any situation, you're too emotionally connected to that. You need an impartial party to manage it.
And talking about emotions, I mean, some of the calls we're getting and the questions we're getting are people that, this land's been in their families in this area for many, many years.
Yeah, what can I do? Can I
mean,
say
we're,
no?
We're going, hundreds of years back. Yeah. And from the Grants, from the King around here. And so it means a lot to them. And, You know, some of them just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give them my land.
But the train is coming.
Yeah,
It's coming.
and they're going to take it no matter what.
That's
so
right.
you might as
Yeah.
well make sure that you're getting taken care of fairly before you just say, well, you know what, take it however you want.
Well, some people, they might think, well, it's not worth my time and effort. It's not worth the trouble to try to get more. Let me just take this and be done with it, because they don't realize that an attorney for a case like this is not going to cost them anything.
Right.
So I think that's a big
And
misconception.
they really don't do anything, correct? Like they hire you guys and then they almost sit back?
It's kind of like
or
we
how's
ask
it
any
work?
client to do, is just communicate with us. You always have to be a participant in your own case, but as far as the running around, finding our appraiser, finding all of the local professionals with that expertise, they're not doing that. And there's no way to do it right without doing that if you're going to represent yourself in a case like this.
Yeah, you've got to have the right people looking at your particular land to help you evaluate it. So even if you're doing it by yourself, you have to get local professionals who know what they're doing.
Yeah. And I feel like you know those guys.
We-
I hear them. I hear you on the phone with them. You know some of these crazy guys around
we got
here.
some good ones around here. We got some great guys around here that know this land like the back of their hands.
Ones that are in the same situation too. Like
Oh, yeah,
they're
some of 'em,
They're
yeah.
getting some of their land taken, so they know exactly
yeah,
what
yeah.
the negotiation
No,
process is.
this is one of those situations where a lot of people are going to learn a lot about eminent domain and condemnation by default. They're going to have to, because so many of us landowners are involved in this.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking our building. They're
Yeah.
taking not the building. They're taking some of the land in
Well,
front of the building. Well,
Are they
yeah,
taking the building?
We don't know
That's
yet.
that's a really good question, Ryan, because in some cases, they may not offer you the money for the taking of the building, but you may find out that you can't use that building
Now I
anymore.
can't have it. Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And so they may have to pay you for all of that.
And you might
See,
not think
every
of that.
case is different.
Yeah.
What your neighbor got or negotiated has nothing to do with what you may deserve,
And here's something
because
that,
they're different.
Here's something too that most people they might understand, they might not, but they're not necessarily taking all of your land. They might only need a little itty bitty sliver, and sometimes it's an acre, sometimes it's a quarter of an acre, sometimes it's just a fraction of your land, and they're gonna take the percentage of what the whole value is and do their magic math and say, well, based on this amount of land, this is what we find the value of. So
That's right. That's right. But that's not always the end of it,
right.
because it's really what's left
Right.
Yeah, and
that is so important.
it might
because
run
what can you use it for?
Yeah, it might run through the middle of your land, and now you have two slots of land that are split by a road. You don't know, and it could end up with like easement issues with, can I now go and use the other part of my driveway because I'm having to go across a road or through a road or whatever.
Oh yeah, there's so many different things that come into play.
Yeah.
And
You don't know. That's why you hire an attorney who does
yeah,
this.
no, yeah. Yeah, you got to look at all, you gotta look under every rock and find out what's going on. Because what you don't want to happen is to, jump on an offer, take it, go buy that new car you've been wanting, only to find out later that your property that is remaining is not worth anything or not worth what it was.
Or, yeah,
and you didn't get compensated, because once you settle with them,
Yeah, resale
you're
value.
done.
Like a lot of people aren't considering resale value. What if I'm going to sell in 3 years and now I have this road that's making people not want to buy my house?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's something really interesting for realtors to understand too. So, and if you're a realtor, just let us know. We might try and put on maybe a little, now that everyone understands how to use Zoom, or, moderately understands, maybe we'll do a little Zoom chat where we're doing kind of a little seminar on,
We could do that.
understanding how all this stuff works. We could,
Or all the videos we just shot, realtors, you are always welcome to share those to your clients.
Yeah, we're actually coming out with a bunch of videos on this very subject.
we just recorded like 10 or 15. So, and also if you guys have other questions about it, and let us know, like we will make all the
address it.
videos we possibly can and help as many people
And
as we
people
can.
should contact their realtors that they have a relationship with if they're going to have some of their property taken, because realtors have a lot of knowledge in this area. Now, they may not know the ins and outs of the procedure,
Well, just
but they can look at property and say, wow, if they take that, we're going to have a problem.
Right.
well, when
selling
we
your
were
property later.
when you were learning about your issue here, a realtor's the one that brought it to you and said, hey, look at the map here. You know, they're going to be doing this to Williamson and this and that. And you're like, oh, well, no, I didn't know all that.
Yeah,
but thank you.
I had not actually seen the map for our office yet.
Yeah.
And I think it was a realtor said, hey, did you know this? I said, no, I hadn't seen that. Let me see that.
Yeah. Let me make a copy of that real quick.
Am I going to take the first offer? We shall see.
We don't know.
Stay tuned.
I don't know. For some reason, I doubt it.
The king of negotiation over
If
here.
I find out it's fair, I'll take it.
No, you're going to fight. I know you.
Nah, I'm only one. What's fair?
Well,
Tiffany will fight for me, though.
there you go. You'll hire a different lawyer. Tiffany. Well, I mean, before we leave, I just want to throw a shout out to Ben's amazing cooking last night.
Oh, come on.
Why did I? Oh no, you're not going to bring that up. You happen to be over, both of you over at my house late. So what do I have to do? I have to cook for you, right?
And you
I
got
can't, like you won't leave. So I have
No.
to do something.
the thing is, so he was grilling. He was broiling. That's what you're doing.
I like to call it roasting.
Roasting. What's it called?
Tenderloin.
A tenderloin. Well,
That
he's
was
gotta-
purchased in advance
Yes.
because
Because
We
y'all were
did not-
coming over. I know. Okay.
Yeah, but
Look at Tiffany worried about the
Tiff's-
public out there. Oh, she's just a mooch.
Ben's got in his oven. He's got a probe, so he can put the probe into the meat, and it tells him the temperature of the middle of the meat. It's beautiful. Well, the probe didn't work, so
And there were a lot of jokes about that at the house last night that I didn't appreciate. But anyway.
well, me and your daughter just kept kind of looking at each other, and we're like, man, this has been a while, and she.
Actually, we got it to work, we thought.
Yeah.
It's the one that you put it in the meat and it tells you when the temperature's
Yeah.
right and it stops cooking it.
Yeah.
So I set it at a good temperature.
Yeah.
And it's always worked before. We had a little trouble getting it started.
But it just said low the whole time, and we're like, man,
it
this is
said
taking
low.
a while to
and
cook.
so we're sitting there, we had a glass of wine maybe or two. And I
We
looked
had-
at Ryan, I go, Ryan,
It's been a while.
this has been a long time. And the temperature's still low. He goes, dude, I think
and you can hear the sizzling from within the oven.
so. I'm kind of a rare meat guy.
Yeah, we got a medium well tenderloin, which is
Medium well? You're being kind.
That's so generous of you.
I had a little bit of red in mine, just a little bit.
Where did you get that?
Yeah.
Because the rest
thing
of
is,
it was.
It still tasted good though. It was,
Yeah, it was.
well, look,
Yeah.
man. Let's
And
give
we
Harris Teeter.
appreciated
Let's give
it.
Harris Teeter a plug on those.
They got.
They
That
got
was a
good
big
meat.
old tenderloin.
Yeah, they got good
Yeah.
meat there.
But I mean, I ended up today going home and getting on the big green egg and making a nice medium rare ribeye. It was
Are you
tasty.
throwing jabs at me?
I never would. How could I do that?
Yeah, the whole roasting in the oven was a jab too, because the man would never cook anything in the. He's a green
No,
egg outside.
I don't know how to
Grilling.
use the oven for like grilling things.
Well, obviously,
no.
you do. You got taken advantage of by the technology.
yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's blame it on the.
Technology failed you.
Yeah.
and
My probe has
It
failed.
happens to all of
Your
us.
My probe has failed me again.
All right, we need to get out of here. Guys, thanks for listening. If you have questions on eminent domain, please let us know. We will do anything we can to educate you guys. But other than that, tune in next time to the Welcome Home Lake Norman podcast.